Here are today's top stories. The OFW deployment ban to Kuwait has been fully lifted as relations between the two countries improve. The Bangsamoro Basic Law passes scrutiny at the House Committee level. Elections in eastern Mindanao end successfully despite the new People's Army violating its ceasefire. And President Duterte joins the Muslim community in celebrating the start of Ramadan. Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the full lifting of the deployment ban to Kuwait long after signing a memorandum to protect Filipinos in the Gulf state. More in this report from Benj Bondoc.
Malacanang announced that President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the full lifting of the deployment ban of overseas Filipino workers to Kuwait. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the president instructed the lifting of the ban upon recommendation of Special Envoy to Kuwait Abdullah Mamao. Upon his arrival from Kuwait last May 12, Roque said the Philippine government had partially lifted the deployment ban for skilled and semi-skilled OFWs in the Gulf state. The partial lifting came after the Philippines and Kuwait signed a memorandum of agreement protecting the OFWs in Kuwait. Duterte had earlier ordered to stop the deployment of Filipino workers due to series of reported abuses and deaths of Filipino workers, including Joanna de Mafeliz. Duterte sought for a memorandum of understanding between the two countries to ensure the protection of the OFWs. The Philippines is demanding that OFWs should be given 7 hours of sleep, a weekly day off with pay, adequate food, and safekeeping of the housemaids' passports in the Philippine Embassy. Duterte appointed Mamao as Special Envoy to Kuwait after Kuwait expelled Philippine Ambassador Renato Villa in protest of uncoordinated rescue done by the Philippine Embassy to OFWs who escaped from their allegedly abusive employers. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
The United States has expressed its continued concern over developments in the West Philippine Sea. Patrick Murphy, U.S. Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Southeast Asia, says that developments such as the reported installation of missiles by China threaten stability, security, and peace. Murphy says that as an interested party in the region, the U.S. sees that the West Philippine Sea is a very important territory for many nations in the region. He notes that almost half of the world's trade and commerce transit through the West Philippine Sea. The U.S. official expressed hopes that the disputes will be resolved peacefully and in accordance with international law. Murphy added that aside from adhering to these and pursuing dialogue, among others, parties must cease all kinds of activities that increase tensions or raise the possibility of conflict in the sea lane. Murphy is in the Philippines to meet with task forces that work on the issue of West Philippine Sea and the reconstruction of Marawi City. Senator Sherwin Gajillion urges the Senate to prioritize the passage of the SIM Card Registration Act after the House of Representatives approved its own version earlier this week. The senator said he's hoping that the proposed measure will be taken up immediately as the bill enjoys strong support in the Senate. As early as 2016, 7 versions of the bill had already been authored by 10 senators. Gajillion hopes the law could be passed in time for the May 2019 elections. He says it will help clamp down on voter intimidation and violence using unregistered prepaid SIM cards. Senate Bill number 203, one of Gajillion's priority bills, would require buyers of prepaid SIM cards to present a valid photo ID upon purchase for registration purposes. Current owners of prepaid SIM cards would be required to register their mobile numbers under their name within 180 days from the law's effective date. Active prepaid SIM cards, which are not registered within the period, would be automatically scheduled for deactivation. President Duterte says the relationship between the Philippines and China will remain strong even as he insists on the country's right to occupy the South China Sea. The president says he and Chinese President Xi Jinping have discussed maintaining the friendship between the two countries. However, Duterte stressed that he will continue asserting the Philippines' claim on the South China Sea throughout his term in office. He added that Xi has agreed that there's a proper time for the Philippines and China to settle their territorial disputes. Malacanang welcomes the passage of the Bangsamoro Basic Law by 3 House committees in Congress. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the move will help realize President Duterte's goal of bringing peace in Mindanao. He reiterates that the president is committed to push for BBL, adding that he is confident that the creation of a Bangsamoro region will end the armed conflict and injustice in Mindanao. The House Committees on Local Government, Muslim Affairs and Peace and Reconciliation and Unity passed House Bill 6475, which would abolish the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao and create a new Bangsamoro region. President Duterte has revealed the names of more officials who are expected to be relieved from their posts and face charges. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says those named are now under investigation and are connected to the 2 assistant secretaries who are also ordered to resign. Duterte earlier ordered DOJ Assistant Secretary Muslim Macarambon Sr. and DPWH Assistant Secretary Tingagun Ampaso Umpa to tender their resignations. Roque says the officials are connected to Macarambon and Umpa and have been suspended. Some of the officials named for their alleged involvement in corruption are state prosecutors. Another name revealed by the president was a former Marawi mayor identified as Amilcar Macabando. The other officials are from NAIA and Customs. Still to come, the Philippines and Papua New Guinea sign an agreement to improve agriculture and food security. Elections in eastern Mindanao end successfully despite the new People's Army violating its ceasefire. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
This is Secretary Martin Andanar, and you're watching.
Welcome to the groundbreaking of the Mindanao Media Hub. Napaka-historic po ng araw na ito dahil after so many years ay magkakaroon na po ng isang state-of-the-art Media Hub ang Mindanao kung saan dito ay i-house ang Philippine News Agency, Philippine Information Agency, ang Radyo Pilipinas, FM1, FM2, of course, ang People's Television. At kapag natapos na ito, this is the place to be, lalong-lalo na sa mga media men dito sa Mindanao at yung mga nagnanais na maging reporter o maging kabahagi ng media industry.
The Mindanao Media Hub will house the several state-of-the-art facilities. This will be the first time in our country that radio, TV, print, wired service, intrapersonal communication, online, and new media be under one roof. Sa wakas, mabibigyan na rin ng kaukulang pansin ang mga hinaing at kinakailangan ng ating kapwa Pilipino.
The Philippines has signed a deal with Papua New Guinea to improve agriculture and rice security during the recent visit of Prime Minister Peter O'Neill in the country. More in this report from Miguel Hill.
The Philippines and Papua New Guinea on Wednesday signed a joint declaration of agricultural cooperation with emphasis on rice production to ensure that there's food security in both countries. President Rodrigo Duterte bared this after his meeting with Papua New Guinea Prime Minister Peter O'Neill in Malacanang, where they discussed various topics including defense and security cooperation, trade and investment relations, agriculture cooperation, and people-to-people exchanges. O'Neill expressed appreciation for the communique signed between the agriculture ministers of the Philippines and Papua New Guinea. He said the joint declaration is meant to advance anew the agricultural relationship and improve food security between the two countries. Meanwhile, Duterte expressed enthusiasm to work with O'Neill in both bilateral and regional matters such as the ASEAN Regional Forum. Duterte also congratulated O'Neill and expressed his full support for Papua New Guinea's APEC chairmanship this year. O'Neill thanked Filipinos for their contributions in his country and the ambassador for the Philippines who has extended support in their time of need. Acknowledging that there is a strong presence of Filipino workers who provide good technical support, particularly in education and health, O'Neill said there is a need to continue to extend people-to-people relationship. Duterte led the official welcome ceremony for O'Neill in Malacanang around 5 p.m. The bilateral meeting took place at around 5:40 p.m. A state banquet was also held in honor of O'Neill. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The Duterte administration reassured sarisari store owners and other micro-entrepreneurs of its continued commitment to their welfare. During the Pure Gold Sarisari Store Convention, Special Assistant to the President Christopher Lawrence Goss said micro-businesses like sarisari stores encourage Filipinos to participate in economic activities. He cited government programs that support sarisari stores such as the Suking Tindahan program, which gives a seal of good housekeeping to stores that implement suggested retail prices. The DTI also launched the Kapatid Mentor Me program for micro and small entrepreneurs. Go also recognized efforts of large firms like Pure Gold that help sarisari store owners grow their businesses. Pure Gold Price Club Vice Chairman Susan Ko revealed there are now more than 300,000 sarisari stores under its Tindahan ni Aling Puring or TINA program. Its members also reached 1.8 million to date. TINAP is a membership program of Pure Gold that provides competitive pricing, exclusive promotions, and other services that would provide store owners better profit. The barangay and SK elections in eastern Mindanao ended successfully despite the breaking of a ceasefire set by the New People's Army. The rebels attacked a CAFG patrol base in Sinakungan, Esperanza City, Agusan Sur on the morning of election day. The attack caused a delay in the elections in the area, but no casualties were reported. The military recovered an M16 rifle and an M203 grenade launcher left by the rebels. Meanwhile, troops were able to stop the NPA from causing trouble in Compostela Valley. Soldiers recovered an M16 rifle and M14 rifle from an arms cache at Barangay Manurigao, New Bataan. Lieutenant General Benjamin Madrigal Jr. condemned the NPA for breaking their ceasefire and praised the military for maintaining the peace during the elections. The two policewomen who were kidnapped by the Abu Sayyaf in Patikul, Sulu have been released from captivity. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde says PO2 Benny Rose Alvarez and PO1 Dina Gumahad were released to the custody of people close to Governor Sakurtan. The PNP chief says the two will undergo medical treatment and debriefing. However, Sulu Police Director Senior Superintendent Pablo Labra II said the two have already reunited with their respective families. Labra said Alvarez and Gumahad were separately released somewhere in Talipao town on Tuesday. Albayalde meanwhile said information indicated that local officials of Jolo negotiated for the unconditional release of the two cops. The kidnappers earlier demanded 5 million pesos for the release of the victims, although it was not clear if it was given. He also credited the relentless pursuit of the military for their release. The Department of Trade and Industry says food processing has become an in-demand industry in the Davao region. DTI 11 Regional Director Maria Belinda Ambi says negosyo centers now give livelihood training seminars for those who want to set up or improve their businesses. The seminars held by centers being built around the region are supported by government and private agencies. Ambi says participants are also given free materials and ingredients for their demonstrations by the sponsoring agencies. This is to help them complete their requirements without having to shell out too much money. Up next, President Duterte joins the Muslim community in celebrating the start of Ramadan. The LRT-2 launches its first ever train simulator to enhance train drivers' safety. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Posible nang may patupad ang total ban sa ENDO o End of Contract ng mga manggagawa sa bansa.
In general, okay kami dito. Okay naman ang welfare namin dito in terms of housing, food, and salary-wise, okay naman. The only thing that we're having a hard time right now is availing a visa or working visa here in Moscow.
Help us to be legalized here as an OFW, because that is the problem that our visa here is hard to process. Ang panawagan ko po sa Pangulo po na sana po mabigyan ng malegalize po ang mga OFW dito sa Russia, kasi yun po ang lagi naming problema dito.
Sa nung visit ni Presidente, unang-unang ganda ng pag-usap nila ni President Putin, at ngayon mas dumadami na yung ating mga kasunduan, ating mga interaction, mga palitan natin ng mga opisyal at saka mga mamamayan. So ang trajectory po nitong relasyon na ito ay pataas, at sa tingin ko ay tutuloy pa. Since then, we have intensified nga yung ating mga exchanges. Mga opisyal natin nag-uusap-usap para mag-create ng nitawag na legal framework. Isa sa mga focus ng bisita ni Secretary Cayetano ay yung iba pang mga agreement na kailangan natin mapirmahan. Isa dyan ay yung agreement para isa-tuwid yung sitwasyon ng ating mga Pilipino na gusto magtrabaho dito.
Sa ngayon po, lubos kaming nagpapasalamat sa administrasyon ng ating presidente dahil ang amin pong imbahada ay bukas 24/7 para sa aming mga OFW, sa lahat naming mga concerns. So wala po kaming pangamba anuman po ang aming mga kakaharapin at kinakaharap na problema dito sa Russia, dahil buo po ang suporta ng aming ambassador sa amin.
I'm praying and claiming and will be working hard na during President Duterte's time and President Putin's fourth term, ito po ay magkaroon po ng linaw at kung pwede magkaroon ng agreement.
President Duterte calls on everyone to foster a sense of solidarity among all Filipinos by manifesting faith through action. The President joined Muslim Filipinos in their observance of the fasting month of Ramadan, which starts today. In his Ramadan message, Duterte noted that Ramadan is a time for the Islamic faithful to reflect on the principles of the Quran and how these relate to their thoughts and actions as Muslims through fasting and prayer. He said Ramadan is a time of devotion and contemplation, adding that sacrifices are needed to overcome personal difficulties and create lasting strides in communities. The President meanwhile expressed hope that Muslim Filipinos continue to help the poor and the marginalized members of society by demonstrating the noble teaching of Islam. The AFP urges Muslim Filipinos to cooperate in maintaining peace and order during the observance of Ramadan. AFP spokesman Colonel Edgardo Arevalo says the military remains alert despite having no imminent security threats. Suicide bombers earlier attacked 3 Christian churches, followed by the police headquarters and an apartment building in Surabaya, Indonesia. Arevalo says the AFP is ready to prevent similar threats from happening in the country. The PNP has also committed to ensure a peaceful observance of Ramadan. PNP spokesman John Bulalakaw also extended greeting to the Muslim community during their observance of Ramadan. He called on Muslims to be vigilant and report suspicious activities to prevent lawless elements from taking advantage of the occasion. Negros moves on the ASEAN Zone Finals of the AFC Cup. This despite Yangon United taking a 3-2 win in the second leg of the zonal semifinals at the Thuana Stadium in Yangon on Wednesday night. Negros, taking the 2 away goals it gave up in the opening leg in Bacolod last week, turned out to be enough to seal a date in the next round of the playoffs. Kosuke Yamazaki wasted no time in putting Yangon on the board with his second-minute goal. Stephen Schrock found Manny Ott from close range and the latter drilled in an 8-minute goal to tie the game. Bienve Marañon put Negros up with his 78th goal from the left side, but he was later given a red card after commotion with a Yangon defender. Yangon also went down to 10 men as Ikchuk Wu Emmanuel apparently punched Amani Aguinaldo to the face. Secosila drilled a penalty off a handball infraction inside the box in the 87th minute, but Yangon could not find another goal that could have sent the match into extra time. Negros won an aggregate 6-5. For our featured story, to help train drivers improve their skills and ensure the safety of their passengers, the management of the LRT2 launched the first ever driving simulator that gives the actual feel of operating the LRT. More in this report from Maricor Zapata.
The Light Rail Transit Authority has launched its train driving simulator to help improve the driving skills of the train operators of the LRT Line 2. Launched at the LRT2 Recto station on Wednesday, LRTA Administrator Reynaldo Beroya says the simulator is the first ever in the country. Beroya says this will be used to train the drivers while ensuring the safety of passengers. The train driving simulator reproduces the entire topography of LRT2, including the line signaling, passenger stations, and the Metro Manila landscape, exactly simulating the image of the railway station. The simulator will allow users to have driver's view from the train cab and operate realistic cab controls, such as doors, pneumatics, electrical, and signaling systems. The facility also enables training on the operations of LRT2 trains, both in normal and degraded conditions, including situations not possible in actual train operations. Train operators will also acquire the necessary skills to react properly and quickly in any potential situation in real train operations. The 25 most frequent fault occurrences encountered during the actual revenue operations were incorporated into the system, providing train operators the correct intervention and troubleshooting practices in a safe and controlled environment. The equipment is capable of generating reports on the performance of train operators under evaluation or undergoing refresher courses. The LRTA hopes that the software of the simulator will be adopted by other railway systems, such as the LRT Line 1, Metro Rail Transit Line 3, and the Philippine National Railways to further improve their transport services. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories. The OFW deployment ban to Kuwait has been fully lifted as relations between the two countries improve. The Bangsamoro Basic Law passes scrutiny at the House Committee level. Elections in eastern Mindanao end successfully despite the new People's Army violating its ceasefire. And President Duterte joins the Muslim community in celebrating the start of Ramadan. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Murato. Good day.